So a lot of the reviews that I do, I've done this Handy Bright, I've done other lights, I've done other things that are to be used in case of an emergency. Today I'm going to be looking at the Sunglife emergency solar radio. It's a crank radio, it runs on batteries and also has a solar power cell. I haven't actually opened it yet, so we will see what it looks like in just a minute. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You, and my channel is dedicated to reviewing as seen on TV products, consumer gadgets, other household items. Once in a while, I throw in a little DIY stuff because I like it and it's fun for me. If you are interested in that, please click the subscribe button below and check the bell right next to it so you're notified every single time I release a video, just like this one. Now, let's unbox this emergency radio and see how it works. I wanted to start out by saying that this product was sent to me in the mail. I did not purchase it. The distributor had contacted me via email, and I get lots of contacts, just like other reviewers out there get lots of contacts, and the vast majority of them I've said no. In fact, this is the first one I've said yes to, and I don't know if that's because I had one of these when I was little and I was kind of excited, maybe the nostalgia factor, but when this one got sent to me, I was really excited to check it out. Now, even though I didn't pay for it, I let the distributor know my stipulation for doing a review is I'm going to be honest. If I like it, I'm going to say it. If I don't, I'm going to say that too. So just so you know, this is an honest review. I'm not being compensated other than that they sent me this. I looked it up on Amazon. These sell for around $30. So I'll get to the price point later, but I wanted you to know now. I'll put a link down in the description if you want one of these. So let's open this up. All right, so first thing I notice is I have the radio, and it's a little smaller than I thought. And maybe because the one I had when I was younger was bigger. Let me set this down because a charger cord or some sort of cord came out too. Looks like an older USB, micro USB for an Android. There is some directions in here, and I'm going to actually take some time to review these later off camera, and then I'll get back to you. So let's just take a look around this. It feels almost like a rubber feel on this gray part, like it could be something to grip it. It doesn't feel cheap, okay? So I want you to know that off the bat. These little dials here are some sort of a chrome look. That kind of looks a little cheap, but the base itself looks pretty decent. I'm really excited to check out the solar panel because that's one of the things I want to be looking into. It also does have the crank where you can wind it up and charge the cells itself. Also, I did read up a little bit before I started unboxing it, and it does take AAA batteries that you can power this if either the solar doesn't work or the crank, I think. It does have an antenna that you can stand up and open. It has tuning, it has an on-off and volume. What I thought was really cool about this one, it actually has a weather band, and that's probably something I would use because you never know when you might need that. The intent behind this is it's got a flashlight, it's got the radio, there's the solar, there's the crank. You can also run on batteries, but you can also charge your phone, and that's what I think this is for. Now, I'm going to have to use a different one because I'll either charge an iPhone or I'll charge a newer Android. So let me read through the directions, and then I'll get back to you on that. But this is the first look of the Sunglife emergency solar radio. I'm going to be having this out in the sun all day, a good 12-hour exposure just to see what I can do first, and then we'll check the crank, and then we'll check the batteries. Okay, so here I have the Sunglife emergency radio outside in the sun. The solar panel's on top. I tore off the plastic there. I'm going to leave it out here for a few hours. It's just around 11 o'clock right now. So I'm going to let this charge during the high parts of the day now, or the high sun parts of the day. Now, I will say it came partially charged, so I'm going to show you a few features real quick. On the front here, I have a light, and there's a button on the top that I can click that light to turn it on or off. This light, I'm going to try to operate this with one hand. You can turn this dial to focus the light, so that's kind of cool. On this side, I have the crank. I showed you that earlier. Let me show you the bottom right here. So I have a few different modes. I have the lithium-ion battery, which is what's being charged now. I have the AAA bank, which I don't have anything in it. This right here, if I click it down, it means I'm going to be charging a phone. Now, they do say this is for emergency charging only and not a regular power bank. And then I have an SOS dial, so listen to this. So if need be, I can utilize that. Do you see this red light right here? That red light is on because it's charging through the solar panel right now. that light will turn green when it's done. They do recommend not running this for more than 6 hours, and you should have the radio off if you are emergency charging your phone. I'm going to let this sit out here until it's green. I'll let you know how long that took from the charge that came from the factory until fully charged. I don't know the rules and such about copyright, but I will let you listen to the weather band. If you pull this up, I can hear some of those things, so I'll turn this on real quick.
Variable winds. Chance of rain 20%. Monday
It's kind of cool that it does that. So I'll turn that off real quick. I'm going to be listening to the radio later. I'll let you know the quality, but because of copyright rules and such, I'll just have to let you know how that works. But let's let this charge, and we'll come back and check it out. So it's been about an hour, and I'm still out here charging. Can you see the light that's still on right there, indicating that it's charging? One thing I noticed that was pretty neat that I didn't recognize at first was this solar panel is actually on a hinge, so I can move it. So if the sun moves, I can direct it that way. I can do all those things. And what the company Sunglife did is on the other side, they put another LED strip for light. So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that at first, but as I was messing around with it during the charge here, I did note that. So I'm hoping in the next hour or so this thing's charged and ready to go so I can listen to the radio and check out those other features. So let's talk about the radio feature of this, and more specifically the speaker. This definitely is not the kind of quality of speaker that you're going to listen to and just listen to music all day long. Does it play the radio? Yeah. Does it play the weather band? Yeah, and you heard the quality of it earlier, but this is definitely not something you're going to get a lot of bass from. There's only one speaker, so it's something that you should know that although it's got the feature of the radio and the speaker, it's not something that you're going to be jamming to. It's really just for, I don't know, you're out in the garage working on something, you don't have a radio, you want to put this there, or you're working on the car, or you're just out in the garden. That's the kind of thing that you would use it for, just for a little extra entertainment, but definitely not as something for your personal entertainment. I want you to know that it's a good feature to have. It's just not something I think you'll use as your main source of music. 6 hours of leaving this out in the sun charging, this light never turned green. So now, you know what? I'm going to try plugging it in utilizing the USB port that it came with. Mind you, I had to get my own plug to plug into the wall, but here we have it charging. So I'll let it sit here until it turns green before I do my test of charging the phone. So the green light came on, which tells me this is completely charged. I should have said earlier, though, this charger is only like 1.5 feet long, so you got to be really, really close to it. So I'm excited because today I completely drained the battery to my iPhone because I wanted to test this just to see how far this thing will actually get. Now remember, I'm on lithium ion and I'm on charge. Well, I had to be on charge anyway because that's the only way the phone would have charged. But let's see what happens here. Plug it in. Oh, look. Apple popped on. Let's see what that will look like. Alright, so you can see my battery right here. Well, it's all the way off. But it's going to now start charging, and we'll see how far I can get this to charge. So it charged for about 1.5 hours, and it's about 3/4 full of battery, maybe 2/3. This is completely dead. So I had it outside charging for about 6 hours in the sun. Then I had it plugged in for about 3 hours. And right now this is completely dead. I just try to hit that. None of the features work. So that's something you should note. If you're going to charge, it really should be just for emergency use only. So I've been using the Sunglife emergency radio over the past 4 days. You remember earlier in the video, I just was not able to get it fully charged from the sun, even though in the directions it says it'll be charging when it's red, and when it's fully charged it'll be green. I had it out in the hot sun for about 6 hours through the prime time of the day. I ended up having to bring it inside, and I plugged it in using the cord that they provided, which is not very long. So if you have any distance to go to a plug, make sure you're up close. It took a couple more hours, and then it was fully charged. Once it hit green, I immediately tested a phone because I wanted to see how much it charged. And so this fully charged battery bank took the phone to about 3/4 of the way, or 2/3, or just around that area, which was pretty impressive, right? Because it's an emergency use only. It's not meant to fully charge your phone. So I was really impressed with that. The whole intent behind that was to drain the battery. I wanted to drain this battery because I want to run it for you, because it's drained right now, and so I want to run it for you to show you the kind of effort you need to put into if you're cranking it. In the directions, they say if you crank this for 1 minute, you will get between 5 and 7 minutes of radio. So I'm going to start cranking this, just so you know the kind of effort that you have to put through. Now, 1 minute may not seem very long, right? But over time, you start to sort of feel it. Like I'm feeling it in my arm to get this one minute done, so have 5 to 7 minutes of radio, or I think about equivalent time of the flashlight, which would probably be more realistic of what you'd want to do. Now, I will say I really like having the solar panel feature too, because if I'm using this outside and I'm using the battery during the day for the radio, for the weather band, it's also charging the unit. So that's pretty cool. Now, my arm is starting, I can feel that I'm doing this right now. It's not that I hit the gym every single day, but I wanted you to see the kind of effort you need to put into. Okay, so if I do this, let's see if the flashlight works now. Ooh, it does. That was a lot of effort. My arm, I can feel like I've been spinning this thing around. Now, earlier in the video, I showed you the SOS thing here, but what I didn't show you is, in addition to the audible alarm, there's also a red light. So let's look at that now. It's pretty cool. It's loud, obnoxious, and it's sort of blinding. So in the case of emergency, someone needs to find you, you want to get someone away, those are all good things. I also didn't talk about this carabiner. They show you clicking it like here, so you can hold it like that, but I also thought you could click your keys on here if you're hiking or whatnot, or click it to your bag. That's a good use for this device. As I was working through this product and testing, I was trying to think of all the different uses, right? So you have your emergency use. A few years ago here where I live, there was something that came through called a derecho. Now that's just a big windstorm, right? Power was out for weeks. Now some people have generators, some people don't have generators, and so those without had no power. There was no lights, no way to charge your phone, no communication, no radio. I could definitely see this being something that's useful and something like that. You can charge up your phone, leave it out in the sun during the day, it'll charge your phone at night, you have a flashlight, you have that light. So I can see the functionality and the use. Originally, I mentioned the price point of $29.99, and anything in that price point for me, I always think is too much. Why? I'm an As Seen on TV reviewer. Our price point is $19.99. So I started researching. Simple research on Amazon. Well, I found them as low as $19.99, and they went all the way up to $49.99. So I should be honest and say the ones for $19.99 didn't have all the features that this one have, but this one does have some of the features and most of the features as the $49.99 ones. Those ones had like the LED screens and such that this one didn't have, but I think, you know what, after looking, it is a fair price point, and it's something that $30 in a time of need is nothing. Now, I mentioned the LED screen. I kind of understand what they're doing here with this dial screen, or the old dial method here, is you don't want to use any extra power, right? So instead of backlighting this or having an LCD or LED screen, you're saving the power by doing manual. Now, I didn't show you this when I was outside, but when the radio is on, I'll put the antenna up just so we can get a signal in here. If I'm going through the dials here, trying to tell my radio station, you can see how the tuning light turns green, right? That way you know if you're in focus. Let me see if I can get one in focus. There we go. And see how it's in focus, and you know that it's green, and so your radio will play. So that's pretty cool, at least in that feature. So you know what's funny? I was testing this out to see how long I could get the battery to go, and I listened to the radio for about 8 hours today, and it stayed on a full charge. I was really, really impressed. But I had to leave it inside and play because every time I went outside, the solar panel picked up and started charging. And so like, oh man, I got to take it back inside so it stopped charging. So that's kind of cool that it automatically picks up and charges for you. I will say, a little thing that I would have liked to have had on this is some sort of an indicator of the battery life. So on some inexpensive LED lights, you might push a little button and like 4 blue lights light up for full or 3 for 3/4. You know what I'm saying? I wish this had something because you never really know what kind of battery you have. I was able to use this and I talked about earlier the iPhone. I also tried it on a Samsung and I tried it on an iPad, and all 3 of them charged. So I'm really impressed with that. So in an emergency, you've got that. Now, you remember a bit ago when I wound this up for a little while, trying to get to the 1 minute mark. In order to get this full, right? So 12 hours of use for music, you'd have to wind it consistently for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I mean, that's a long time of consistent winding to get this full. So that's something you should realize and understand. You want to get your most charging from the sun. If you can plug it in, that's great too. I see a lot of great uses. I see people going hiking, strap it to their backpack. It's already got the built-in carabiner. Hook it on there. That way when you're going, if you run short on something or you need the weather, you want to listen to the radio or siren for people, that's a perfect thing. Van life. This would be great to throw in there. You don't have to worry about any extra batteries, even though it has the AAA battery compartment. Preppers, if you're waiting, doing a stockpile, just in the case of an emergency, I see a lot of good uses for this. So this was Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. I hope you liked my review video. As always, thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.